So we've got this game tonight. North Texas is facing off with Tulane, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Two ranked opponents. North Texas is a team that you're looking to bet, but in a different way. How would you take North Texas tonight?
I land their team total over 34.5. I mean, look, you can't play a spread with North Texas to a certain extent against a good team. Why? Because their defense is awful. I mean, there's only one team playing in conference championship weekend with a bottom 10 run defense in the nation, and that's the North Texas Mean Green. So what I do know, the one constant is they're the number one ranked offense in the country. They're top 40 in rushing. They're going to put up points, right? Like that's the one constant, I think. I know the weather's a little bit sketchy in Louisiana. It's supposed to be raining a little bit. Doesn't really phase me because the pace that North Texas plays with, you're looking at a total of 66.5 in this game, Ariel. Like the one thing I think we feel like we can trust that if North Texas have any shot to win this game or cover it or whatever, they've got to score. And that's the only way they can do it because they can't stop anybody. So I'd be hard pressed to believe that North Texas, if they only score 27, even has a shot to win this game, right? I just don't see the old 27-24 final between these two teams of all teams coming out here. So not being able to trust the North Texas defense, went to an alternate market, 34.5 team total over.
So JMU is a team that clearly, as a 23.5 point favorite, ranked at 25th. Mid-Major Matt says that they deserve to be in a playoff, but probably won't be, and they'll just get a nice bowl game. 23.5 is a very hefty number to have to lay. How do we get around the 23.5 if we like JMU?
Listen, I'm not laying 23.5 with big four power schools on a regular basis, so I'm probably not going to do it here. Look, Mid-Major Matt's right. The motivation level for the Dukes is high. For them to put on a good performance is really high. For them to actually win in blowout dominating fashion is important to what the optics are going to look like for the committee. Here's the problem. The JMU defense may be better than their offense. And I don't think Troy scores more than 10 points in this game. And from that standpoint, like, yeah, I think JMU over 34.5 for their team total is viable. But here's my concern. They're not going to have to push the pace in the second half because they may be up 30-3. And, is there a difference between 40-3 and 30-3 in a committee's eyes? I don't know the answer to that. But in reality, it's just like they don't have to continue to push as hard to score because their defense isn't allowing Troy to score at all. So let's take the best half, which would be the first half, lay the 13.5 here. And if they're not up by 14 points at halftime, you got to wonder James Madison ain't going to the playoff even if they win the game, right? Because it'd be hard to win by 30 just with the second half alone. So I think you get a motivated team at the outset. They want to set the tone. Again, going to be really cold in Virginia. I think there was snow on the ground in Virginia today from some of my friends there in like the Charlottesville area. So weather could be bad, but that's certainly going to favor JMU more than it is Troy, who just doesn't really have an offense that's going to scare anybody. So I laid the 13.5 in the first half here, knowing they want to get off to a fast start, take Troy emotionally out of the game, get to a big lead, and sort of coast in the second half and put up some extra free points.
Tomorrow, a huge game. It is, I think, the first time that the 1 and the 2 are facing off in a conference championship game. Well, maybe at least in the Big Ten or in conference championship game in general. Do we know that stat? I know it was.
Yep. 1 versus 2 for the first time in the Big Ten championship game. Yeah.
Right, in the Big Ten championship game. Okay, that was the stat. So Ohio State, the number 1, Indiana, the number 2, 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. I don't even know why the hell they decided to also make Virginia and Duke at 8 p.m. because that's just silly. We should just isolate this Indiana and Ohio State game. Right. I know that's going to be the game to watch right now on FanDuel. You're seeing Ohio State -4.5, Indiana, total 46.5. So what you got for us there?
Well, I'll start off by saying I definitively lean Indiana in the spot here, taking the points. I would argue that for as good as these two offenses are, I think their defenses are even better, which is why I played the first half under 24.5. I mean, in a game of this magnitude, now both of these teams are going to the playoffs, right? And it probably means more to Indiana to win the conference title than it does to Ohio State. They didn't play in a conference title game last year, and they still won the Natty. So, they're not here for anything other than winning a national championship.
And they beat Michigan, thank God. Already.
Yeah, doesn't mean that they're not motivated for the game. But, with this type of atmosphere in this game, Ariel, like I just see it starting out very slow, right? Ryan Day in all these big games typically gets very conservative, as a lot of coaches do. Neither team wants to make the first mistake that's going to put the other team at a decided advantage early and force them into a hole to dig out of it. So what happens? Teams are willing to punt more. They'll take the short passing game. They'll run the ball more early. They'll they'll look at it from that standpoint where they just don't want to make a mistake first, because whoever blinks and it ends up, chasing is going to be a team that's going to have a problem against both of these defenses. So nobody wants to give up the big play. I just think the pace is really slow at the start here. The under for the game looks good for me, but like I say to everybody, chances are if it ain't going over early, it ain't going over late. And if it ain't staying under early, it probably ain't staying under late. So I think the tempo of this game will be really slow. I kind of wish this thing was outdoors in the cold. That's one thing that makes me a little nervous. It's a fast track. It's indoors at Lucas Oil. You don't have to worry about any of the elements. Like if this was outdoors, I'd feel a lot more confident if it was cold and windy, because the first quarter guys are banging against you. It doesn't feel really great and everything else. So, but I'll roll the dice here with the under. I don't know if there are any more 24.5s out there. I locked this in early in the week, but even at 23.5, if it lands 14-10 or 21-3 or whatever it may be, kind of live with it. I still think under 23.5 is playable.
Throwing you a wild card, Craig Abel said, can you ask him what he thinks of Boise State UNLV?
Toughest game to call on the board, to be honest with you. A lot of sharp people that we both know, including our good friend CT, are all over Boise in this game. So is my good buddy Brian Power. You know what? I've stepped in front of UNLV like 4 times this year and have been bit in the ass. So I don't feel like doing it again. Now, this number is already up to 5.5, which tells you where the money is, and it's coming in on Boise State. Here's the real X factor. Like, Madsen, the quarterback for Boise State, is back. And is 80% of him better than what they had before, better than what they did to UNLV last time they played them? Tough question to figure out. It might take him a half to get his legs underneath him. And if UNLV builds up a 4-point, 7-point lead, it's like, well, now you're in real danger of trying to cover, what is essentially a dead number at 5.5, even though college doesn't really have the key totals the NFL has. But so, I mean, I'm not going to play the game. I personally lean UNLV. I'm not stepping in front of them again. I just feel like it's Dan Mullen's year. And, despite the fact that he hasn't gotten a job, considering all these openings that have opened up, he's done an amazing job with these guys. They've been super resilient. This is another one that's a rematch that, if UNLV makes all the corrections from getting their butt whooped the first time around, I think it should at least be close enough here. And this is one of these, a lot of these conference championship games, sometimes I feel like, Ariel, the spread doesn't really matter. Like, either the favorite covers big or the dog wins outright. I think this is a game where the spread matters. I think I could conceivably see Boise State winning by 3 or 4.
Another big game that the spread is probably going to matter. Georgia, Alabama. You've got Georgia at -2.5 at I know it's neutral. Georgia, Alabama, just a habit. Georgia laying 2.5 total, 48.5 SEC championship game. Again, 2 teams that rank 3 and 9. Not sure exactly what there is to play for in this situation because you just don't want to get hurt going into the college football playoff. What you got here?
I think the wrong team's favored. I'd make Bama a favorite in this game. I made him a 1.5, 2-point favorite. Like, just genuinely did on a neutral site. I mean, I know, again, I think a lot of people are going to run to the window to bet Georgia. I think this thing may hit 3 by the time Saturday afternoon, rolls around. And full disclosure, I haven't gotten to the window yet, but I'm probably going to end up playing Bama here. The Georgia offense, like, I don't know if they were laying down and sandbagging last week, but that offense that showed up against Georgia Tech that only scored 16 points is kind of what they've been more often than not. I know they had a good run from the Texas game to Mississippi State to taking care of, a bunch of other teams, but Georgia is all year long, with the exception of a couple of games, they've been either tied or trailing at half. And Bama ran out to a 24-3 lead against them. Now, Bama didn't score a single point in the second half of that game in Athens earlier in the year. But, I mean, Kalen DeBoer is a good coach. And in these spots, I think he does really well. Nobody's better than Kirby Smart. He's the best coach in college football. I don't think anybody debates that. And he's a very good adjustment coach. So, the other piece of advice, again, I'll probably get to the window on Bama. I feel like I will at this point in time. I just want to wait until the morning to see if any number moves. If it moves in favor of Alabama, I might just stay off it and bet it live, which probably would be my next suggestion. Whichever team gets out to a lead first, if you get a more than a field goal number to the other team, then jump on it. Because I think this game will come down to a field goal. The number absolutely will matter here, depending on what it is. And in reality, again, I think Bama's the better team.